Could a military response ever truly end the conflict between Israel and Gaza? The recent wave of terror attacks by Hamas, the governing body in Gaza and a designated terrorist organization by the US, has provoked a severe reaction from Israel. In response, Israel declared a state of war, vowing to eradicate Hamas. However, this is not a straightforward situation. The blockade imposed by Israel on Gaza has led to shortages, unemployment, and a ripe environment for Hamas to recruit more members. A strictly militaristic approach may inadvertently strengthen the very group they aim to destroy. Furthermore, the conflict has deep roots in history and has recently ended a 20-year stalemate, creating new realities in the process. The tensions between Israel and Palestinians are complex and multifaceted, and eradicating Hamas entirely would not solve these tensions. The possibility of a ground invasion by Israel is looming, and this could potentially widen the conflict beyond Israel and Palestine's borders. With the situation escalating and the future uncertain, it's critical to delve into the key aspects of this conflict. Hamas, a governing body or a terrorist organization? This query leads us into the heart of the conflict. Hamas, on one hand, is the governing body in Gaza, responsible for the welfare of its citizens. On the other hand, it's an Islamist militant group, designated a terrorist organization by the United States. The recent wave of attacks has not only ended a 20-year stalemate, but also created new realities in the Israel-Palestine conflict. The blockade imposed by Israel has led to shortages and unemployment in Gaza, making it fertile ground for recruitment by Hamas. However, eradicating Hamas entirely is not only logistically challenging but also fails to address the root of the conflict. History shows us that repression often strengthens the oppressed, and this may inadvertently bolster Hamas. Moreover, removing Hamas might not lead to peace but could result in another group stepping into its shoes. Therefore, a military solution alone is insufficient. Diplomacy and engagement with the group's own population are key to addressing this issue. In conclusion, Hamas's role in this conflict is multi-layered and complex. What does life under a 16-year blockade look like? Imagine waking up every day with a lingering uncertainty about whether you'll have access to basic necessities like food, water, and electricity. This is the reality for the residents of Gaza, living under an Israeli-imposed blockade since 2007. The blockade has led to rampant unemployment, with nearly half of Gaza's population jobless. The scarcity of resources is not limited to employment opportunities. Essential commodities are in short supply, leading to a crisis of basic human needs. Food, clean water, and medical supplies are all difficult to come by, adding to the everyday struggles of Gazans. Health issues are another grave concern. With limited medical supplies and healthcare facilities, treatable conditions can quickly escalate into life-threatening emergencies. The blockade has also had a psychological impact on Gaza's residents, particularly its youth, who face an uncertain and unstable future. The human rights implications of the blockade are immense. The international community, including organizations like the American Friends Service Committee, has repeatedly called attention to the dire humanitarian situation in Gaza. They've advocated for the rights of Palestinians and stressed the need for immediate humanitarian access. The blockade's impact on Gaza's residents is profound and far-reaching. How does the international community, particularly the US, influence the conflict? This is a question that we must address. The US government has historically provided unwavering support to Israel, even in the face of alleged violations of Palestinian rights. This support has often come in the form of military aid, diplomatic backing, and a reluctance to condemn controversial Israeli actions on international platforms. However, calls for a change in US policy have been growing louder. Critics argue that the US must hold Israel accountable for its actions and work towards ending the system of apartheid. They believe that a shift in US policy could bring about a significant change in the dynamics of the Israel-Palestine conflict. Moreover, individuals around the world can also play a part. They can urge their governments to call for a ceasefire, donate to humanitarian aid efforts, and educate themselves about the realities of the conflict. The international community's role is not a passive one. Through diplomatic pressure, humanitarian aid, and advocacy, it can actively contribute to the resolution of the conflict. The international community's response can significantly influence the course of the conflict. Are there viable solutions to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict? This question has been on the minds of many for decades. Recent events suggest that a purely militaristic approach may not be the answer. In fact, peace experts argue that such an approach could inadvertently strengthen Hamas. It's clear that diplomacy and negotiation are critical components of any potential solution. Significant changes to the status quo often follow violent events. The recent attacks by Hamas and the Israeli response could serve as catalysts for such changes. However, it's important to remember that a resolution to the conflict won't be achieved solely by external forces. Involving actors from within the group's population is vital. By engaging these individuals in the problem-solving process, a more sustainable and accepted resolution might be found. This is not to say it will be easy or quick, but it does offer a glimmer of hope. The future remains uncertain, but it's evident that a comprehensive approach is needed to end the conflict. This approach should combine diplomatic efforts, engagement with local populations, and a commitment to respecting human rights. Only then can we hope to see a peaceful resolution to the ongoing conflict in Israel and Gaza.